Keep Driving is a wastoid youth simulator / road-tripping roguelite set in a fictional but unspecified European country during the heyday of wastoid youths, the early 2000s. It was released in February 2025 by two-person Swedish indie studio YCJY, which is comprised of Christopher Andreasson and Josef Martinovsky. Ville Hartman, whose name sounds like a Hideo Kojima character if you pronounce it wrong enough, designed the sound for the game. They've released a few other games previously, notably Post Void, a frenetic, psychedelic, first-person shooter with a distinct sort of skate punk / barf vibe, and Sea Salt, a real-time strategy title where you control the dark servants of the esoteric cult of Dagon, and which I didn't play for some reason. I should play that. This is a game about lots of things. It's about nostalgia, regrets, spontaneous adventure, and the crushing existential dread of having to choose between food and gasoline. If, like myself, or indeed developers YCJY, you were born too late to know what being a young adult in the early 2000s was like, then the game elicits a strong sense of anemoia, a nostalgia or longing for a time you've never experienced. Keep Driving plops you into what I assume must be the stinky converse of a late teens, early 20s scuzzbag on the outset of their big road trip. You choose your starting bonuses from a small pool that grows as you unlock hidden objectives during runs, an occupation such as student or amateur mechanic, as well as your relationship with your parents. This is more or less the game's difficulty setting, determining your odds of scraping by after a failed challenge. If you have a good relationship with your folks, maybe they bail you out. If not, you're on your own, so don't fuck up. You name your driver, grab your gear and a music festival invitation from your home, and get driving. Keep Driving felt like a pretty big departure from the dev's more recent titles, so I reached out to them. Josef and Christopher were kind enough to answer some of my questions about the game. We'll hear from them a few times throughout the video. Here's a bit from my interview with them. YCJY has put out quite a variety of titles, both mechanically and thematically. Post Void was such a frantic and weird fever dream. What made you pivot to the chill, nostalgic vibes that Keep Driving delivers? What made you guys want to do a roguelike road-tripping game?
First of all, I think it's fun to explore different genres, but we Keep Driving we had as an idea as our second game after Aquatic Adventure.
Yeah, so it's more a question of why did we choose Post Void and then do a frantic game from the other ones. But yeah, it was just trying new things, and Post Void was kind of different from the rest of our games as well because it was so short and very to the point. We just wanted to go back to Keep Driving and make this a bigger project that we've been working on, or we tried working on a couple of years before that.
Yeah, and we failed making it before, and then we pivoted to Sea Salt, and then after that it was Post Void, and then back to Keep Driving. But now we're kind of longing to making short games like Post Void again.
It was a fun experience to make short games that you can really just hone in on one thing and one style as well.
Yeah, it was kind of, in a way, it was like after Post Void, I felt like we both wanted to make more Post Voids, kind of, but we felt like we had to do Keep Driving first. So now that Keep Driving is done, we are more free to do something that we want to do again. We wanted to do Keep Driving, but something that smaller and
experimentation is easier when it's smaller as well. Mm-hmm. So Keep Driving was a huge risk in a lot of ways, while Post Void was almost no risk.
Yeah.
And when you're working with risk, there's a lot of stress as well. And when so it's in that way, it'd be fun to make a lot of games, have less stress about them, and be able to experiment in the same way.
Yeah.
The music festival sits on the far east side of the map, while you start on the far west. It serves as the natural endpoint to a run, but other optional endings will open up depending on where you go and what you do. Maybe you go visit your dying grandma and go after the inheritance she bequeaths you. Or maybe you go enter the big race. Or maybe you just go get absolutely Hunter S. Thompson-style shitface hammered out in the woods with the hurricane. The map is organized into nodes that offer randomized and various services. These can range from the almost ubiquitous gas stations and food marts to the less common pawn shops and scrapyards. There are even wilderness areas that offer first-person dungeon crawl-style exploration where you can retrieve some, pretty cool stuff. You're free to go anywhere in any order, provided you could afford the gas, food, and other necessities to get there. You start with barely enough cash to fill your gas tank and get some essential supplies. Being 20 sucked. Keep Driving captures the absolute freedom of being an early 20-something with personal transportation and no real responsibilities, and the incredible frustration of never having enough money to do or buy the stuff you want. You can work freelance gigs as a barista or farmhand for easy cash, but these jobs take time and cost you energy, and often leave you tired and stinky afterwards. You can also grab quests from pubs and cafes, which typically involve hauling pizza or beer or band equipment from one location to another, though there are some weirder ones as well. On the topic of hauling things, each of the 3 vehicles has different configurations for transport of both goods and people. The sedan has seats that fold down in the back, a nice touch, meaning you can absolutely kick out the guy who is definitely not an escaped convict to make room for more beer. The truck has a big bed for lots of stuff, but only 2 passenger seats. You get it. Some cars are different than others. At first, you will primarily be loading up your car with consumable items to help you get from point A to point B, such as pizza or aspirin or cigarettes or chewing gum. Consumables are either used to cure status effects your character contracts during routine operation of their chosen rust bucket, or to stand in for skills during road challenges. As you progress, you'll be able to afford more permanent items that give persistent buffs, such as a sleeping bag that lets you nap in your car without getting chilly, or a portable stove so you can fully embrace Euro hobo life and boil potatoes on the sidewalk. There are also upgrades to your vehicle to be gained, like comfier seats or winter tires or better engine components. These are geared more towards surviving the tough road challenges that appear later on. There are also cosmetic upgrades like paint sprays and decals to, as they said in the parlance of the era, pimp your ride. You can even buy decals and paint that let you pose as a cop if you're an absolutely fucking crazy person. During your travels from point to point on the map, you can just kick back and relax because nothing bad happens. Oh my god, there's a bee in the car! Road challenges break up your travels under the game's combat system. You'll typically encounter 3 or 4 of these between points, and they come in a variety of forms, such as tailgating cars, tractors, or the dreaded birds that won't move. In these turn-based encounters, the opponent's board fills up with different symbols which must be countered by skills or items. Each turn, several of these symbols will attack. If they aren't cleared off the board that turn, you lose the associated resource. These attacks come in 4 terrible flavors: energy, gas, car durability, and cash. Different opponents have different types of resources they'll target more, so having a variety of skills at your disposal can help mitigate the hurt. Clearing the full board lets you get on your merry way, but losing all of one of your resources, other than cash, will fail the encounter. You can still come back from a failure with a repair kit or jerry can of gas, or, if you have the cash, a tow. If you're out of options and your folks won't bail you out, that's the end of your run. Each skill can target a particular configuration of resources, and playing a skill so that it perfectly overlaps its target resources will net you a bonus turn. This makes it easier to clear encounters with little to no damage if you play like a big brain smarty person. Skill trees are unlocked permanently across runs by meeting hidden conditions, such as being a good driver and not taking damage for a set amount of time, or by picking up lots of hitchhikers. Speaking of which, hitchhikers have their own skills to be used during challenges, which usually tie in with their other mechanics. During a run, you gain skill points by reaching new locations or completing quests, and can spend those unlocking skills in your open skill trees. Most skills have limited uses between each rest, but you can swap out skills at any map node if you want to keep driving without a nap. I found the level of challenge to be meaningful yet manageable. With good preparation and a thoughtful collection of skills, you'll be able to overcome most of what Keep Driving throws at you, and beefing it on a run lets you start the next with your car's upgrades intact, so progress is steady no matter how fucked up a run gets. I unintentionally made things difficult for myself a few times, such as when I tried to do the big race while drunk, or forgetting to swap my skills out after using up most of them, and in those scenarios you really feel the weight of your stupid earlier decisions bearing down on you. So basically it's a metaphor for entering your 30s. Aside from pizza, cigarettes, beer, and stereo equipment, you'll also be stuffing your car full of total fucking weirdos you pick up on the road. There's the idiot, who is a tragicomic homage to Forrest Gump who waxes philosophical about bugs or whatever while you tootle around. There's the runaway bride, who will lift your spirits as often as she totally bums everyone out. And there's the hurricane, who will throw fucking trash everywhere and dare you to drive drunk because it'll be fine, man, chill out. There's loads more, they're all wonderful, they're all freaks, and they all contribute to the vibe with quippy little conversations or bickering with each other. The hitchhikers can have quests or even alternate end goals for your road trip, so they help break up your wanderings with more concrete objectives. Maybe you try to help a little girl find her parents, or maybe you help your new friend go on vacation. Yeah. The storytelling in these vignettes lets you piece together the larger picture of these characters' lives from sharp little fragments. Some are sweet, some are fun, and some, like the idiots, are honestly pretty brutal. They do a lot with a little, like much of the rest of the game. Visually, Keep Driving is stunning. There's tons of lo-fi, high-quality pixel art on display. Character sprites are all lush, stylish, evocative, and idiosyncratic. The various backgrounds scroll past in lovely parallax, whether you're blasting across open highways and green fields, or grinding through traffic on your way into one of the game's randomly generated big cities. The road encounters often zoom in close to show fun details, like your character flailing around maniacally during the aforementioned bee and car. The UI is very thoughtfully put together. Your consumables sit in a glove compartment which opens during challenges. Your skills are Polaroid photos hanging from your rearview mirror. To switch to a hitchhiker's abilities, you select their portrait in the mirror. Here's another bit from my interview with the team. The diegetic UI elements are super immersive and fun. I really enjoyed how far you went with making elements chunky and interactive, such as the fold-down seats in the sedan and the functional glove box for consumables. How did you come up with a design for the interface? Were there other iterations?
I don't actually remember how the first, like the thoughts of the first one, the first version of the UI was, but I think it was inspired in part by FTL, and then also by Oregon Trail. And then we kind of just wanted it to look like my old car, the Volvo 240. So the inside, it fit well. And then for the iterations, we did have like a steering wheel for a while. We had like the gear shifter and the things that you change, the window wipers on, or like that you turn the window wipers on.
Yeah, we had did you say the gear stick?
Yeah, the gear,
and gas pedals and brakes and
So the UI was for a long time was kind of the actual dash of a car.
Yeah.
And that kind of fit perfectly well. Then once we started changing it, when we changed it to the game that it is now, we kind of removed those elements and then kept the style of it.
Yeah, definitely. So I think without those ideas, even if they didn't make it into the game, they probably influenced a lot of the game.
Yeah.
And looking back at the first version of the game, we still had like the trunk as being the top-down view of the trunk.
Yeah.
You didn't see the seats back then in the same way. We had that separate menu for hitchhiker stuff. It was a lot less coherent. And then this time we made, I think, with the dashboard being as it was, it felt like natural to have all the other menus like that as well. I think especially like the fuel menu is fun because it's very like everybody understands how to use that menu.
Not at first.
Maybe not, but most people understand how to use it, and it's. I think it adds a lot to something that could just be the click of a button, that you actually have to stand there and pump the gas for a little while. I think all of that actually helps, even though it's not really gameplay. It kind of is gameplay in a way.
Yeah, it creates this weird sense of it's not a mini game because it's not a game that's separated, but it kind of adds that feeling of that you're interacting with the world in a different way, and you have to kind of come up with, like Christopher said, it's intuitive, but at first I think a lot of people look at it and like, oh wait, do I press the green button first only? And then they realize, no, I actually, of course I have to actually have to use the tank or the pump. And then when you start doing that, you're like, oh, okay, now I'm actually filling it up, and you can kind of like be in the world a little bit more.
It's a little bit like going to a gas station and like
exactly.
Looking at the interface. I mean, maybe it's a new brand of gas station or something. Right, yeah. You don't know which order to do things, or I think the music menu is really cool as well. Yeah. Like popping in the CD and like selecting. It's a little bit like a mix of a CD burner and iPod and just CD player. Yeah,
and I think for like our work, like the method of working with them is kind of, it works well with this style because we kind of design together what's needed to be there, and then in a lot of ways I can just draw something and then we can kind of iterate on that. So I draw like a system that I think looks cool, and then we see like, okay, does that actually function? And do we need some other button or something else? And then I can kind of quickly iterate on that. So we don't like base it too much on functionality. It's more about like the feeling and the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
There are playful twists on the visual presentation when you visit a junkyard or forest to explore. When you're too tired, your driver begins visibly nodding off in the car. There's so much thoughtful detail put into the game that it becomes intensely immersive despite the lo-fi aesthetic. If you were never a teenage dirtbag, Keep Driving will sure make you feel like one. The hitchhikers you pick up in particular have loads of character to them. Their sprites are quirky and expressive, and they have nice portraits alongside their profiles. When you get to a new spot, they can be seen hanging around the area with some nice touches, like the runaway bride stuffing her wedding dress into a trash can. In fact, there are tons of little details throughout the game. When it rains and you encounter a muddy road hazard, you'll build up muddy layers on your car. Having a tent in your car and resting actually pops up the tent outside. Many of the various upgrades you install visibly change your car's chassis. Taking durability damage is reflected visually with little strips of duct tape on your vehicle. I noticed a few stylistic and visual nods to other games, such as Hotline Miami, with the bobblehead of Jacket and the visual splash that pops up when you get a new CD. I asked YCJY if there were other influences at play here, and what has contributed to YCJY's unique visual style over the years. Here's what they said.
Hotline Miami makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we're literally sitting in their office right now. But it's, they're good friends of ours, so it was more like a nod to them as friends as well.
Yeah, and when we started out our studio, we were in the same city, obviously, then, as Hotline Miami guys. And when we started out, we got taken in by them, kind of. They were
they're mentors
for us and stuff. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense, especially for you graphically. Like you hadn't done much pixel art before, and then you looked at Dennis stuff and sitting next to him and getting advice and stuff.
Yeah, that's how I started actually with making games. I was sitting in with Dennis and Jonathan and just drawing and then getting help from them. But yeah, so that's why they're at least there. And then I think we have Mulle Meck as a bobblehead as well, which is for most American audiences won't know it.
He has an English name. His translator he's like Gear Guy. I don't know. I don't know his English name, but his Swedish name is Mulle Meck at least.
Yeah, Mulle Meck bygger bilar. It's Mulle Meck and then building cars is the game, but it's like a kids game from early 2000s.
Yeah, based on a famous Swedish children's book series. Yeah.
So that's in there. I don't know what else. What other influences? Obviously there's if you look at I think the energy bar it's very similar to FTL's energy bar.
Mm-hmm. And that's also probably a relic from when we were
that was
inspired
the first one, exactly.
Because that looks pretty much the same as it did in the original version.
I forgot, actually, when I was looking at one of the early mock-ups recently, because I was showing it in Italy, and then I realized when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's FTL. I forgot that's but yeah, over the years, I don't know, I feel like it's been pixel art, but it's kind of changed a lot. I wouldn't say this one is very similar to Post Voids.
No, it's mostly similar to our first game, Keep Walking, which this is like a spiritual successor to, I guess. And if you look at that game, you can definitely see the change.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think the visual style is something that we're still working on to kind of create a coherent style. Then right now it's been a lot of just experimentation and trying to make the style that fits the game. More or less.
Yeah.
Except for, I guess, Post Void in ways, but that was more like making the game that fits the style or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly.
The first aspect of the game's sound that jumped out at me was the score. Keep Driving features over 50 tracks of shoegaze, synth-punk, Euro-rock, post-punk, and more. Some of it isn't really my bag, but it all fits the tone and vibe so well that I found myself enjoying it as part of the setting. Some of the tracks are anachronistic, having been released fully 20 years after the game is set, but they all still work perfectly. I'm not sure how much of the soundtrack I'll be able to show, but here's a little taste.
I used to call you up late at night when I was drunk, then I woke up next morning with regrets for all the junk that I said. But it was better not hearing from you at all. It's not nice to be alone in the phone. I used to ask you if you want to go out and have some fun.
Do you know what to say? I need to know where it all began.
Here's what YCJY said when I asked about the soundtrack.
I think we both really like indie rock.
Yeah, we like indie rock.
Still and back then.
Yeah.
So it made a lot of sense. We always had the idea to have bands, real bands as the soundtrack. and not have like a written soundtrack for the game. So I think that was always the idea.
Yeah.
And all the bands actually are from Gothenburg that are featured in the game.
Yeah. So it's not just West Coast.
Yeah. Like Makthaverskan is a big Gothenburg. I love West Coast as well.
Also, I don't know if it's very clear, but we're both like 33.
Yeah.
So we didn't grow up in the early 2000s as teenagers or like as 20-year-olds. It's just that it's our view of the memories of being young is kind of what we believe is like the view of the average gamer to look back on the early 2000s. But it was also because it's a time when you don't have GPS cell phones and stuff. So it's a simpler time in that way.
And the bands aren't actually from that time, but they invoke that feeling. I guess it's
only
bands
one.
that... Which one?
Isn't My Darling You?
Oh, My Darling You, they're a bit old. But they're still like...
No, it's like 2005.
It's like when we were at least like 16 or something.
That's exactly,
But I think also that when you are around 16, 18, 20, around that time, like you listen to music that was like very big in the early 2000s, like the Strokes, Gorillaz, and all that, and you kind of go up with that.
Exactly. Oh, that's true. Yeah. So like when you are 18, you're still in the mindset of the early 2000s.
That's the inspiration for our generation, kind of. It's like when tangent, I guess, but the band like Nektar here in Gothenburg, they listen a lot to Kent, but they weren't alive when Kent were like big. Swedish references. Yeah.
The new ones, the new band. Yeah. I don't know if that exactly what it means, the anachronistic, that it's not actually from that era. But it fits the tone. That was a big thing. Like when we listened to music, we had to say no to a few friends' bands because they were just too modern. So we wanted the sound to feel like also inspired by the earlier rock music.
Yeah.
So when you listen to it, it can kind of be timeless, and I think we got it. Maybe fucking Werewolf is the only one that isn't exactly that kind of like...
but I guess it fits the time period in a
it does,
and
I mean, it's still...
Yeah, and it's also Dennis bands.
Yeah.
To tie back to the Hotline
exactly.
Stuff. Yeah.
But it's...
And I guess El Huervo as well.
But just specifically that song, isn't that one kind of like, it has that...
Yeah, maybe.
Like tape sound.
Yeah, that's true. And then also like Mundane and Zimmer Grandioso, they are active bands now, and very modern, I would say. But their sound is very like fits that era.
Yeah, exactly. They have
maybe that's what anachronistic means.
Maybe, yeah. We don't know what that means, but I'm trying to answer as best we can. But like Mundane, I thought at first I was a little like from Mundane it was an interesting one because I was like, oh, I'm not sure because it does sound too modern. But then I started realizing, wait, this actually sounds like skate punk bands from like 2001.
Yeah, like emo.
Yeah, like the emo skate punk that maybe we didn't listen to that much back then, so that's why it sounds more modern to us now. But then I started thinking about like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 soundtrack, and it's like, oh wait, this kind of fits that. It does actually work, even if it's not a genre we listen to that much.
The sound design in general is a treat. All the interface elements emit the pleasingly analog clunks and thunks of that beater sedan your gearhead friend kept running way past its prime. We all had a friend with a car like that, right? The ambient sound of traffic in a busy city section or more pastoral stretches of highway help draw you in further. There is, again, lots of attention to detail here. Entering a gas station shop produces the signature chime. When customizing your car, you can hear the lift humming and the overhead fluorescent lights flicker to life. Entering a cafe, you can hear the clatter of dishware and muffled conversation. It's nice. As a side note, I appreciate the mixtape aesthetic of the music in the game. Shuffling together all the songs you've collected is very reminiscent of having a friend burn their favorite songs onto a CD for your upcoming trip. The fact that you have a limited selection to start makes getting new songs to mix into the soundtrack super exciting, and like my 20-something past self, I found myself prioritizing getting new songs over other definitively more essential things. If I had one criticism of the game, it would be that I kind of wish there was some voice work, for the hitchhikers at least, as the game is pretty much completely devoid of the sounds of people. Even some cursory grunts or laughs or whatnot during the little dialogues would have been good, and could have lent some extra character to your companions. So that's pretty much it. You hit the road, dick around, and maybe end up wrapping up your trip in a memorable way. Or maybe you take the hurricane's dare and end up getting arrested like a dingus. Either way, it's a cool and weird time. Keep Driving is like traveling down an open road at dusk, or being young and broke. A generally chill, but occasionally extremely stressful experience. It's a game about being a young person, sure, but it's also a game about looking back on youth as a no longer quite so young person. I'm solidly out of the fuck around and into the find out phase of life, and as a former wastoid youth myself, playing Keep Driving caused lots of little memories to bubble to the surface. It's a strange and bittersweet sensation to acknowledge that you are no longer young, but not yet quite old. Here's another clip of my chat with Josef and Christopher. Keep Driving really captures the mix of freedom and stress that comes with being a broke 20-something with personal transportation. When you're young, there's a feeling of endless possibility that Keep Driving captures quite well. But the game is also underpinned with these themes of how youth and life are fleeting. When the narration reads, "You're young, you still have time," it feels like the driver is trying to convince themselves. You guys have been making games together for about 10 years now. Have you been thinking about getting older? Are the game's themes reflective of where you were at in your early 20s or more recent reflections on that past?
That's a pretty good question.
Yeah, a good question. A long question.
Yeah.
A hard one. But yeah, I mean, like one of the main themes is definitely nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird also that the first version of the game we made when we were 20-something.
Yeah.
But now we're 30-something.
I think it's interesting because one of the mock-ups that I saw had a text. I think the second mock-up that I'd drawn for the game, like when we were just coming up with like, what is this going to be?
Yeah.
And it said something like that. It said like, why do I
want to live in the now, kind of.
No, yeah, it was like, why do I have to remember the memories as happy instead of being happy in the present? Yeah. So it's something that has gone back even since then. I don't think I've realized it that as much, but I guess there has been something that's always like how you look back on your life. You look back on it with some reverence, while when you're living it, at least when I was younger, at least also living it was more difficult. I feel like nowadays, you're just living it, and it's not the same drama that it feels like when you're younger.
I mean, the existential dread is something you kind of don't remember as much, or seem to look back on, and something that maybe when you get older you get less and less of that, or like hopefully, at least. And yeah, you definitely have like rose tinted glasses, is that you say, when you look back on your life, but. Yeah, I think with Keep Driving, there is definitely a theme that can be spoiled, I guess, a little bit also in Keep Driving. That's like all this, we still have time. Like that sentence that you mentioned is something that it's not like just randomly put there. It's meant to wake these feelings and these thoughts.
And I guess that the driver is trying to convince himself, but if you look at it from like in the game right now, it's a person also looking back that's kind of forgetting their life or kind of have passed their youth already, so they're in old age. It's trying to tell itself, like it's the younger self, like you have time right now. This is the time to do these things. This is the time to enjoy this. This is the time to experiment and like do things that are stupid or fun or scary. It will pass. So at this moment, you have time.
Yeah. So it's like the future self telling the past self, like do as much as you can with what you have now.
The further in life you get on, a lot of it feels shorter and shorter. I think that's a general feeling most people have, including I guess us as well. At least myself. You look back and like, wait, how did 3 weeks just happen?
Yeah, I feel like a year can happen now.
Yeah, exactly. Like all of a sudden a year can just go by. Like I can't believe it's June 19th. Like it felt like it was just. My birthday's on 1st of June, but it's like it feels like it was just then. So it's this feeling that it goes by very quickly, and telling people who are in their 20s, like, or at least trying to make them feel a little bit like this is a moment in life you should be enjoying. And don't worry too much about it, because when you look back on it, none of the really heavy things are going to feel as heavy as they do right now. So it's a meditation on on youth and on looking back on youth, I guess.
There was some, I think it was like Shinji Mikami or someone, like the Resident Evil creator, who said like the mistakes you make when you're young makes your whiskey taste better when you're old. I really liked that.
That was a good one. Yeah.
So it's all good in the end.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that in the beginning. The game's themes reflective of where you were at your 20s or more reflection of the past.
Yeah, I mean, we're working on the game in our 20s and also in our 30s.
And like in our we studied together and lived pretty much together, like right next to each other, at least, in a small town. And like I had a Volvo 240, and I would drive around with friends with it and go on road trips. And it is that kind of life is it is a nice memory, of course. And it at the same time as wanting to keep it alive in some form of art is a thing. But when we were working at the beginning, it was more like, I know this. I want to just like, this is something that we can tell truthfully.
Like an express.
Yeah. So like Christopher, like living as well, like indie kid life, like running around, going to concerts, like going to parties and everything, smoking, and we're drinking and we're hanging out and going, like staying up late, having after party. Like that kind of life was something we knew. So we're like, this is something we can tell at least. It's not something we have to fake, which is partly why we started making it then. But I think it became a wiser game, the fact that we made it a little bit later.
Yeah, and we were too immature to make the game back then, I think. But it's a good thing we tried.
Yeah, because it kept like that spirit alive.
Yeah.
As the infinite wave functions of our lives collapse into the certainties of our present and past, we can't help but look back and wonder if the choices we made were for the best, or if we should have taken chances that we didn't. I think it's natural to ask yourself what might have been different, and in your 30s and 40s it feels insane to have believed, as I did in my 20s, that we had all the time in the world. If I could go back and do it all again, I would do lots of things differently, as I'm sure we all would. Nostalgia and regret are powerful things, and the memories that end up being important to us later in life are sometimes surprising, things we didn't think about in the moment, but that we would look back on fondly, or not, later down the line. On the other hand, I'm someone who firmly disagrees with the concept of wasted time. As beloved writer Kurt Vonnegut once said, "We are here on Earth to fart around, and don't let anyone tell you any different." I've spent a lot of my time doing things that do not produce value to society, do not meaningfully contribute to my growth as a person, and do not generally make the world a better place. I think that's fine, provided you occasionally make an effort to leave things a little better than you found them. Unless you're the hurricane and you just want to throw trash everywhere and be a fucking menace, then go nuts, I guess. Humans are at their best, I think, when they're adapting to situations they do not feel prepared for. Being young is difficult, and no longer being young is also difficult, just in different ways. This is a game that, like real life, wants you to roll with the punches, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep driving. Thanks for watching. As a little bonus question, I asked the guys which road challenge they would least like to see on a real-life road trip, and here's what they said.
Finally, just for fun, which road challenge from Keep Driving would you most dread encountering in real life? For me, it's got to be the birds that won't move.
Why don't you move?
Yeah.
Funny thing with the birds that don't move is that you can honk by pressing space, and some of the birds will fly away in the game.
Yeah.
Maybe in real life as well.
Yeah, maybe. You don't know.
Like, what's the worst thing? There are many. I mean, there's the chicken race guys, like the guys. I think it's called Maniacs, just in the game. The guys like driving on the wrong side of the road. That would be terrifying.
Yeah, that would freak me out.
Yeah, I think that's the worst one.
I genuinely hate traffic jams, but it's not like it probably wouldn't be the worst one.
Yeah, I've been in traffic jams, so no, it sucks, but it's a part.
I think it's for me. Maybe it's because my car is so shit that traffic jams are always like, my car could die at any moment.
Oh yeah, but let's start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's like that was the bigger fear. It wasn't that the traffic jam itself was that bad. It's the fear that the car will break at any moment. But do you know the biker thing, like the one before that happened?
That happened.
Yeah, with me and my mom in the desert when we were driving to. We were going to somewhere in Nevada. Yeah, and like these four like Hells Angels bikers drove up next to like the car in perfect four.
What?
Yeah, and I was like looking at them, and I was so freaked out.
But they just
drove past, but they were driving like the perfect like formation.
Maybe they were like practicing on you.
Maybe for like intimidation.
Yeah. They scared his mother and the child. That would be very intimidating as well. But I think it's still the chicken that's the worst.
That's true.
Because they're obviously kind of either drunk or high on something, and it would be the most dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't like the thugs either.
Yeah, no.
I'm not a...
Like all of the humans.
Yeah, all the humans, yeah.
The bikers, the thugs.
The nicest one is technically the guy who's going to wash your window.
Yeah, that's a bit socially awkward.
But it's yeah, exactly. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people have had that experience at least.
I think the weirdest one, and people are commenting about it as well, is roadkill also. That you stop and look at the roadkill. It's like, yeah, we gotta have roadkill as an event, and then the event is like you see like a corpse on the side of or like a dead animal carcass, I guess, on the side of the road, and you just stop and look at it.
Yeah, we're supposed to move it to the side of the road, like in real life.
Oh yeah.
So you're supposed to stop and move.
Oh yeah, maybe
body.
that's what you do.
And that was my thought.
Oh okay, yeah, that makes sense then.
But just that we haven't animated anything like that when it happens. So maybe it should. When
you walk out and move.
No, like the move. It moves to the side a little bit, but that could look like it's moving on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that. But that was the idea. I think that you're going out there and like moving it, kind of like the tree. Like the fallen tree.
Oh, yeah.
You're technically moving that as well, but it doesn't show it.
Yeah. No, you just stop.
Yeah.
And then you drive past it.
Yeah. Maybe
Same with the rocks.
Exactly, yeah. I wonder if we should have like written anything like you move it or in those kind of events, like when something happens. Anyway.
Yeah.
We didn't, so that's what happens.
Big thank you to Joseph and Christopher for taking the time to answer my questions with such thoughtful answers. And thank you to the viewers who have patiently waited for me to figure out how to put together a YouTube channel. I still have no idea what I'm doing, but I am having fun. I'll see you guys in the next one.